Hi, this is Jennifer with She Shall Be Praised, where we talk about women's issues and family issues and Christian living. And I want to introduce you to this special series that I'm going to be doing where I'm interviewing family members, especially the older generation, my aunts and dad and uncles and mom and that sort of thing. And about 20 years ago in 2002, I went and sat down with my grandparents and I took a tape recorder and asked them to tell me about their childhood and how they met and that sort of thing. And we got these stories now on audio about them that it's just wonderful to go back and listen. I always meant to do it over and over again so I could get all the stories, but I got busy and life got in the way and we didn't do it. And so that recording is all that I have of them now. And I I decided to do this series so that we could capture a way of life that's really disappeared and we can know the stories of those who came before us. So this is definitely for my family, but I hope you enjoy listening as well. Thank you. So, do you remember your great grandparents at all?
No.
Okay. Um, so your grandparents,
Casimir Perez.
you remember your papa and your mama?
I remember Casimir Perez, but the only memory I have of it was the day that the ambulance came to take him. They
Okay.
died.
How old were you? Do you ish?
Maybe 5.
Okay, so they were young. I
Very
didn't
young.
look at I didn't look at those things.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And as far as my grandmother, Selena,
yeah.
uh, she was there for. I mean, I was already grown, but
Yeah, I remember her. I have a vague memory of
yeah,
being a little girl and her sitting on the porch at the camp.
yeah. And well, that's in the video. On the video,
Okay.
what you're getting it from.
Yeah.
But you're
No,
right.
no,
You
no.
might
I
remember. You
remember.
remember.
I remember.
Little old Spanish lady. Short, sweetest thing in the world. And the one thing I remember about her more than anything else, and it's funny because whenever she'd hear about somebody hurt or in pain or something has happened to him, she would say, Pobrecito. And for years, I had no idea what she was saying.
Yeah.
And I finally looked it up, and it's poor thing.
Yeah.
She would say, Pobrecita. Every time she heard about somebody having something happen to them. And it was just the way she was.
Now, did she speak English fluently?
Yeah.
I remember Mama and Papa saying that they spoke only Spanish, and then when they went to school, they had to start speaking English.
Right. But she did. She spoke English.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest with you, I don't believe, other than Provecita, I don't believe I ever heard her speak Spanish. But we all spoke English.
Yeah.
So there was no, she
No
may
need for
have,
her to do.
but
Yeah.
not in front of me. And she lived in the house. If I walked out my back door and across the yard, she lived in the house. So I would walk out my door into hers.
Yeah.
And I spent, I don't know how many hours at her house. And on Sundays, she would make bread pudding. And of course, we'd all be waiting there for the bread pudding, and the family would all come to get bread pudding.
Funny.
It was delicious. It was, but she was the sweetest woman. It's where the heart of my family came from, because you could see it reflected in everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't always pinpoint to one case where you see a trait in your family and you can't exactly determine where it came from. But in this case, her heart was so big that it just bled over to everyone.
Yeah.
So, but the family was well, my uncles and aunts were more like my mother and father, and my cousins, my first cousins, were like brothers and sisters. We spent so much time together.
Yeah.
It was a close knit family because it's a Spanish family, so that's not unusual. It's part of the culture. But we were always, if we went to visit somebody, it was my Uncle Alfred, or my aunt Aunt Lily. Um, we would go visit them and spend time with them, or they'd come to our house, or we'd all go to Mama's house. You know, it was a wonderful, wonderful way to grow up because it was you didn't just have a few people that you knew in your family loved you. It's just everybody.
Yeah.
Kind of hard at times for me to talk about it because it's what made it so special, you know. And it's the amazing thing is that it it it's there for not only for us but for our children. When we go to the family reunion,
Yeah.
everybody's there like they play together. The kids play together like they've known each other all their lives. So it's a fantastic experience to have a family that tight.
Well, and that's why, partly why I wanted to do this, because that way of life almost doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I think it does to an extent, but not.
Not like
It's
it
not
did then.
widespread. No, it's not widespread. I think
Because we
in the
weren't,
parish, I think it's more widespread than,
yeah,
you know, but maybe not because Katrina spread the parish.
it did.
So many people left the parish that a lot of that cohesiveness in the families was fractured. I guess
Yeah.
the ways to put it. But you know, it was a wonderful way to go. I mean, we would go to the camp, and everybody'd be at the camp, and it's hard to understate what the camp was because it was such an integral part of my life.
I know.
And when it left a hole in me
I
that,
know.
that never has been replaced because it was a special place.
It was.
It's a special place. And like we'd go to school. And this is, I don't remember before school, so but when we let out for summer, we all packed up, got in the boat, went to the camp. We spent the summer at the camp. We would fish and play and swim, but that was the life. And it was, the camp was not accessible except by boat. So there wasn't anybody back there messing with us. And it was like, it was our Disney World.
Right.
It was, in a way, it was just it was different life. And that went on until
Katrina.
Katrina. I mean, I grew up spending my summers at the camp. And then when I grew up,
As did I,
I
actually.
would go. I would go to the camp on weekends to help mom and them sell shrimp because I wanted to be back there. I couldn't. I worked. I was working full time, but on the weekends I'd use the excuse that I wanted to help my mother, but I really wanted to go to the camp and I wanted to go fishing. And so that was one of my reasons for going back there was that I fished until I would drop. And then, in fact, I told you when I pass, I want to be cremated.
I know.
I want my ashes
Caitlin and I talked about
bred in
that.
the same oyster reef that brought me so much enjoyment catching speckled trout. And I can't think of a better place to rest. And if anybody wants to come visit me when
We can go fishing.
they go fishing, what better way what can you ask for? But yeah, the camp was a special place. And when we were at the camp, I mean, Daddy was a carpenter by trade, but during the summer he was a fisherman and a hunter. He was always a fisherman and a hunter. He never stopped doing that. But when we were younger, he had to work as a carpenter to make ends meet because they couldn't make enough money doing the fishing and the travel. And then when he got older, they actually moved to the camp, Mom and Daddy, and they sold bait. But before they did that, we would go. Daddy would go trawling, and I would go with him. And there were times when it would he had butterfly nets, which means we would trawl at night. And there were some things that we saw, that I
Yeah.
saw, that were just amazing.
Yeah.
Like we would trawl by the mouth of Lake Bourne, and if the weather was bad, we would catch shrimp. It was scary because the weather was bad, but the shrimp would come up, and it was just like it was so much excitement, you know what I mean? But I mean, I mean, you went fishing out there with me, and there were things that we saw that, one time Susie and I were in a boat, and we watched as a school of what was it?
Was it the
Jackfish.
Jack Ravel? I was
Jackfish.
there.
Were you?
I was there, and they were just circling the boat
Circling
like
the
you could touch them. You could like just reach down and
Yeah,
touch them.
and there were schools of mullet that were swimming up the ship channel. And they would do it every year at the same time. And there would be a school of Jack Crevel that would be underneath them. They would come up, make a circle around them, and they would basically eat those mullets. And the water would be
Churning.
churning
Yeah.
until they finished. And then all of a sudden it was dead still until the next group of mullets came over, and then it would happen again. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Another thing I remember with you was watching heat lightning
Yeah.
one day on the way in, and it was the sky was just completely covered with lightning. It was just amazing. But yeah, the thing about the camp, and I don't want to go on about the camp because it wasn't the only thing going on in life, but it was such a special place.
Well, we don't have anything like it now,
No, no.
and maybe never.
I don't know that we will. And I don't know that, there's a lot of things that that we had that time has passed. It's just not likely to ever, come back again. And in some ways that's good, in some ways it's not.
Part of, I think, part of what was so nice about the camp was there was CB radio, and that was it,
It was it, yeah.
and TV. But like, so
Yeah.
you were
Mom
in a
had a
pool,
pool.
yeah, and you were cut.
We had
You
a
were cut
bayou in
from
the front,
everything else.
a bayou in the front, and
Yeah.
a pool in the yard.
Yeah.
It was just, it was magic. And then when we were out there, Daddy would always boil crabs on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
We'd have boiled crabs for Sunday for dinner every Sunday. Yeah, and then because he was catching crabs, he would take the busters, which are the crabs that are getting ready to shed, and he would keep them on the wharf in a
Yeah.
box. And every morning he would run the box to see which crabs are shed.
Shed.
So we had
Soft
soft shell crabs, yeah, shrimp, crabs.
I think about that a lot. Like when I was a kid, how much wild food I ate,
I know, I know,
and how
Well,
different.
I mean, when I was growing up, Mama would buy ground meat,
Hmm.
but for the most part, we ate wild food.
Yeah.
We ate rabbit, we ate duck. Never really cared for duck, but we ate
Yeah,
duck,
me either.
venison. Daddy would hunt deer. I hunted, I hunted duck with Daddy, and I hunted rabbits, but I never hunted deer. And I hated hunting duck because I remembered, first of all, I was never a good enough shot to hit a flying duck. Yeah, it was just like it was beyond me. Now, if they were coming in to settle into the pond, I could hit them. But a duck flying on the fly, it just wasn't a good enough shot. I was also big, so when we would be walking out in the marsh, my cousin Willie would be walking on top of the
Yeah.
mud, and I'd be up to my knees in the mud. But that was duck hunting. And as far as rabbits, once they cut the ship channel and they put the land up, we would hunt rabbits behind the camp.
Hmm.
And Daddy always had beagles,
Yeah.
right? So we always had little puppy beagles around, or beagles, and we'd hunt with the beagles, and it was always fun because beagles would be headed north, and of course the rabbits had already turned around and come back south. Okay, so you would always set yourself up in the opposite direction of where the dogs were going because the rabbits were going to come back. So one day we're hunting, and I see my daddy running toward me, pointing, and I look, and it looked like dogs, but they were big. They were running towards me, and I didn't know what they were until I got close. It was about $6.
Oh,
Okay. Now, I don't know that I killed any. Daddy killed
yeah,
a couple of them
yeah.
because he was
He
up
sold
on
the
it.
first.
He wanted the
Yeah,
pelt.
yeah.
That was the last time I ever hunted.
No.
The last time I ever hunted because it was, shooting an otter after we had pet otters.
That was
This was
after?
after, yeah.
Oh,
I said, no way, Daddy. I mean, an
yeah,
otter was an otter. If
yeah,
it
yeah.
was something he could make a few dollars on.
He was still selling furs in that had to be
Yeah, but he didn't have to.
late 80s or
Yeah,
early
yeah,
90s?
yeah. I was probably 19.
Well,
And
that wasn't after the otters when you were 19.
I think it was. Well,
I wasn't
that
born.
was true.
We had the otters when
You
I was
must have got
born.
him after. Yeah, you're right. It was after, which is,
Yeah.
but I thought they were the most beautiful animals,
Hmm.
and just the idea of shooting them was too much for me. But I never hunted after that, except for one time. Uh, I remember Daddy cut a hole in the back screen of the porch on the back of the house. I mean, his camp, and he would put corn and stuff out in the yard.
In the back, yeah.
And when the hog would come in, because they had wild hogs, they would come in, he would take
Yeah.
his pick, right? But one day he yells at me to go get the gun because they had a hog in the back and it was going to be coming my way. So I had to run around, got in the boat, went along the to a camp, right, a little bit down in the, doesn't matter. I went to a camp and the hog was running on the levee, big hog. I mean, not, and I had a 12 gauge and I had uh, not buckshot. I had slug, right? So he's coming, and I'm sitting up, and I got up off the ground, okay, because I ain't gonna mess with a hog on the ground.
Yeah.
And I shot him when he got in the opening, and spun him around. Then he got up and he started coming toward me. And if I put another load in, if he could have, he'd have gotten
Yeah.
me. All
Yeah.
right, scared me. I mean, I've never been scared of anybody. Not like that. He wanted me better more than I actually wanted him. He was mad. So, but that was a camp, and then fishing. I mean, we'd go back behind the fort
Yeah.
and go fishing and catch all kind of. You never knew what you might catch back then. Uh, but I spent many hours basically in a boat fishing back there. It was the most satisfying experiences. I mean, not of its kind.
Yeah.
Okay, of its kind. I mean, playing football, that was satisfying. Okay, playing baseball was satisfying. Watching my grandchildren play baseball, satisfying, but it's a different kind of experience. Um,
It
when,
is. I miss it.
oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. But I got two little ones that are going to follow. She's playing. She's supposed to play softball next year, and I know Bobby's going to play ball.
Yeah.
He's a ball player. So I'll go back into it. It won't be quite the same. And hopefully not travel ball. Hello.
Hey.
Hey. Hi, Missy. Missy.
That's my papa. I mean, that's my daddy.
No.
Yeah. Where's yours? Go ask your daddy. Yeah.
No, I'm not sure what kind of memories to cover.
I don't know.
I mean,
We don't have to do
I coached
everything
the
in
baseball
one
team.
day.
Did you know I coached the baseball team?
I did. My uncle was on it.
Yeah, Uncle was on it, and it was a ragtag team from Florissant, Louisiana. Actually, it was Florissant and Shell Beach and McCloskey, kids from down there, and we played against the kids from Shellmed and Violet and all that. It was in the league. It was fun, and I was probably 18, and so they asked me to coach. I said, sure, why not? And I did. And like first game, I'm coaching them and black, and a bunch of guys are feeding me beer.
Oh, gee. Why does this not surprise me?
No, not surprising. And so I, I was a little inebriated.
Black
at
is
the
my other grandfather. He was
yeah.
my mama's dad.
And we lost, and I didn't like it, and they didn't like it. And so the next game we played Bournemouth, and Bournemouth were kids that they went to school with.
Okay.
Okay, and then Showman kids they didn't really know,
Yeah.
but the Bournemouth kids they were all friends with, and they lost. So after they lost, I said, run the field. I said, make a lap around the field.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to because the other kids were there. They didn't want to be embarrassed. It's bad enough they lost, and here I was going to make them run. They ran. The TV said, I'm not
my
running.
uncle.
Yeah, I'm not running. I'm not running.
Were you with my mom at this point?
I was dating
her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all knew that I was dating you, Mom. And he says, I'm not running. Well, it turns out later he had blisters on his feet. I didn't know, but he didn't say that. He said, I'm not running.
Yeah.
I said, well, get your stuff and go home.
Yeah.
The other kids looked at me like, because they knew I was dating your mom.
Yeah.
Okay. And that I was sending him home.
Yeah.
And they all look at me like, and I told him, I said, when you're ready to run, come back. I said, but you're not going to run. You're not on the team.
Yeah.
And so he went on. They all looked at me like big old eyes because they couldn't believe it. I'm dating his sister and I'm sending him home.
Yeah.
But he came back and he ran the lap. And they told me after that second game, he said, we're not going to run again. I said, well, it's only one way.
Yeah.
I said, you have to win. And they did. They won every game after that. That's true. It's a true story.
That's funny.
It was, and they never coached together. First of all, the thing about drinking beer in the first game, I was embarrassed because I realized that that's not something you should be doing. No. And I was young, so I didn't know any better, or I knew better. But so that was a story about baseball. And and when we lost TV, that was.
I have never in my life. I knew Uncle TV played baseball, but I never thought of Black Lefebvre being at the games.
Oh yeah. We played in Florissant. That was the field.
Okay.
Okay, in Florissant, well, I don't think it's there anymore. In Florissant, where the churches, might be where churches now, but they had a baseball field. So that's where our home games were, and of course, Black was there, and his friends were there. It was all fun. It was a lot of fun. It's just that, and TV was a pitcher. He was a good pitcher.
Why does this not surprise me?
No, it doesn't surprise me.
I think Austin, his build, I don't.
No, he's so much bigger than TV.
He's taller.
No, he's bigger. TV was thin.
Well, he also works out now.
I know, but he was thin.
Well, so is Austin.
He was, not anymore.
No, but some of that could be lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, when I graduated from high school, I weighed 165 pounds.
Yeah.
A year later, I weighed 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
But but like the long limbs, the flexibility,
but Austin was bigger. I mean, TV wasn't that big.
No,
he was
but
taller.
I don't remember because
He was taller. Yeah. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun watching, coaching them. They had one kid on the team, Bubba Gonzalez. I believe his name was Bubba Gonzalez, and he won a couple of games, but walk-off home runs. He was good. They had some good baseball players. I had one. Can't remember his name. One player was small. I mean, little bitty. So I would have him crouch at the plate.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
To make that strike box tiny.
And finally, the umpire just started calling strikes on him. Okay. They didn't like it. I said, just crouch down and see if you can get on the base. He couldn't hit. So I mean, finally toward the end, I just let him hit, but he couldn't hit. But because he was tiny. I can't remember who it was though. He was Robin.
That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, that was fun time.
I was looking at some of the pictures on the website of all the outfits Mama used to
Uh,
make and stuff, and
yeah, she would always dress us for Mardi Gras.
yeah,
We would always have costumes on. We'd always go. We wouldn't. I don't remember that we would go into town with Susie and I when we were small. I noticed they went with Jeannie and Johnny
Hmm.
because there's a picture of them on Canal Street,
yeah,
and we might have. I just don't remember.
yeah.
But she would make costumes for all of us. We'd all be in costume, and
You know, I hadn't thought of that because I was looking. I can remember her taking one and modifying it to make something for me, and I don't remember what it was. But we do have pictures of me and Amy in costume.
I'm not surprised. I
I don't know where. I'd have to go look.
I don't have that's something, and I do have a website where all the videos
Yeah,
you can actually download them. So
yeah,
I'll send you a link to it, and I'll put the audio
okay,
over there too, so
yeah,
you can access them. The WordPress site that I'm using, the plugins I'm using don't allow you to download,
yeah,
which kind of sucks, but
yeah,
it's producers basically that don't want their stuff
their stuff
downloaded.
taken. Yeah,
I believe I set it up so that the photos can be downloaded, but that's
yeah.
not at one
That's
at a
easy.
time.
Yeah, I
One
can
at a
save that.
time. But yeah, I got. In fact, that's running on my server at home now.
Actually, yeah, because I started to today take a look at the photos and try and start to download them. Because like what I want to do is put up the pictures of Paran with it. Because what happens is on Ancestry, it'll be saved forever for as long as and anyone who wants to access it can access it.
Can give you
And so
access
I started to, and I'm like, oh, this is going to take forever.
forever. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
stopped.
there's so many
Yeah,
photos.
yeah,
I mean, I was looking. I started. I started to put metadata on the photos, and I realized that I've got so many thousands of
yeah,
photos of the kids
yeah,
just play baseball.
yeah.
You know how many pictures I took of
It's
your children playing
ridiculous. I
baseball?
know, just some
Unbelievable.
ridiculous number.
You know, I'm glad I got them. You know, but they're sitting on my computer. Actually, they're sitting on my computer on a hard drive to back it up, and another hard drive that I back it up on.
Yeah.
But I've got so many
It's
photos.
hard because on some level, it's like ultimately what's going to happen with those photos, and so that was partly why I
Yeah,
thought
and
one of the things I want to do is like our family that has passed on. I want to put the photos up for that.
yeah,
The living
yeah.
living people, you can't see anything about them really unless you're in it
I'm
yourself.
wondering if there's an AI that I could use to basically
Oh,
maybe identify the
I'm sure. There's got to be.
yeah, I'm
There's
gonna
got
look
to be
into
something.
it because I got so many photographs.
Yeah.
And
And
it
if
was
there's not, you can have it write code for you.
yeah, it's true. I in fact the Perez website that I did, I took what I had written on the front page and I
Yeah.
ran it through Copilot so that it would dress it up for me. It did a good job. Did a
Well,
really
yeah,
good
yeah.
job.
So let's get back to the, and we can stop whenever. I don't know how
No,
long
I
we've been
don't. I
going,
don't have anything to do today,
but
except for maybe go get a snowball. Though.
yeah. Where's Elijah?
I can stay. I don't need anybody else to go get him. I can get
No.
him on. I'll have to ask him. Is he?
Uh-uh.
Uh,
Uh-uh. Um, let's see. What else? Anything else you remember? What about Mama and Papa? Um, I know
uh,
they used to go on vacations. I'm trying to think.
I don't remember. Maybe camp was the only thing that
Yeah,
I remember. You know,
yeah.
Daddy was not somebody you would mess with, but Mama ruled the roost.
I know.
Okay,
Don't I know it?
she called the shots.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean you wouldn't mess with Daddy, but definitely wouldn't mess with
I
Mama.
think it's funny because I make a lot of videos about women and
Yeah.
feminism and working outside the home or in the home or and all that kind of stuff. And what people miss is, to me, Mama was very traditional.
Sure.
You know, I mean, Papa was on. She made all the food. She took care of him.
Yeah.
She did what traditionally women do in homes, but she was so strong.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
she was a force to be reckoned
yes.
with.
Yes. And nobody messed with it.
No.
Nobody messed with it. They all
And
knew
if
it.
they ever tried to, Papa would have shut it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they were in it together
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. It was she she was definitely strong,
She was.
strong woman.
Yep.
And when I was young, we were poor. And Daddy had to go to work as a carpenter because he couldn't fish and hunt and
Yeah.
make enough money. And so Mama, man, we skimped. There wasn't a lot of extra money to go around. When you said we went on vacation, they didn't do that until they were older,
Older.
not when we were young.
Yeah.
And she had four kids to
I
feed.
understand.
Yeah. So I mean, they can't help because it supplied food.
Yeah.
Daddy's hunting with
Yeah.
the wild food didn't supplement our life.
It
Yeah,
was.
it was
It was
authentic.
I know.
Everything
It
else
was
supplemented.
that was the supplement. I know. I think about that. That's why I say, like, how we ate so much wild food.
Yeah.
That was, the main part of our diet, and then the bread
Yeah.
and ham
Yeah.
and all that
Yeah.
other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was.
Those are fillers.
It was. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a wonderful way
Yeah.
to live. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. I mean, we didn't have much of a choice, but Daddy was able to put food on the table
Yeah.
multiple ways, but by working and making enough money, and also by hunting and fishing. And
And I remember, I always slept in, but he was up before dawn, going trawling
yeah.
and running his crab
Running
traps.
crab traps, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you had to do that.
Yeah. Well, I know.
But
I
he would
mean,
have done it anyway. I mean, it's just his
well,
nature.
that's the
his
point.
nature.
Like,
He never
like,
stopped working. Listen,
right.
listen. There have been many times where I wish that I had the work ethic that my daddy had, and it would have served me wonderfully. But I don't.
You know what I was thinking though? Like, what he was doing,
He never stopped.
he was building his own,
Right.
like the camp. There was always the next phase
There was
of
always something to do.
construction, always the
Absolutely.
next set of plans. He
Yeah.
was making it bigger
Yeah.
because there was more family.
Or it
He
needed
was,
to be fixed.
or it needed to be fixed,
Right.
or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be.
Yeah.
You know,
He never
and
stopped.
the crab traps and the trawling that fed
But
him,
he
and
loved that.
he
I mean,
loved, right. And so, like, everything he did, what he did was building what he had.
Right.
And taking care of family, which Papa loved his family. Like, he lived to have us all there.
I know.
I don't think any of us does that. Would he
No.
would he have done it alone? Yes. But he
No,
loved the fact that he
just
created and provided a
your
place where
family,
we could
yeah.
all go.
Yeah.
And
I think no, I don't know. You don't know Daddy's side of the family. The way
no,
you know
only
Mama's side.
only the stories
You
that
know
I've
the
heard.
Mama's side. You know Mama's
Yes.
side. You know the people.
Yeah.
You know the way they are, and you don't know Daddy's side.
No, I remember.
They were different.
I remember.
I think Daddy learned.
Shoot, his brother who lived on the houseboat,
Charlie, yeah.
Uncle Charlie.
Uncle
I
Charlie.
remember him a little
Remember
bit.
Uncle Jesse?
No, I'm sorry, it was Uncle Jesse.
Uncle Jesse
Uncle
lived in the
Jesse-
trailer across the street.
Yes, he lived
And
in the
he had
trailer
the-
across,
He had the houseboat.
and he had the houseboat.
Houseboat, yeah.
Yep, that was just to the right.
Yeah.
So I remember Uncle
And
Jesse.
Uncle Jesse was yeah, he
But
was
it's funny because I think I saw on Ancestry he was married. Like, I never knew Uncle Jesse married.
Yeah. Rita, that's his stepdaughter.
Mhm.
Rita Dupree. She's Susie's my age, somewhere in between. So we all grew up together. But Daddy's family wasn't the same. Now, Daddy was raised by his grandmother.
Hmm.
Caitlin wanted me to make sure that I mentioned that she sold marijuana.
Did she really?
Yes, she did.
Oh gosh.
Yes, she did. I don't know that she was a drug dealer. I think that it was more likely medicinal things.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the
People
things that are
use,
illegal now, like
well, no,
I was
but I mean,
thinking about it, you could go,
people use pot
yeah,
for medicine, and they also use it for whatever you
yeah,
use it. But she sold, but she raised him. His mother died
yeah, I
in
know.
childbirth.
He told the
With,
story.
yeah, Uncle Jesse was
Yeah.
born and his mother died. And his daddy, I don't really remember my grandfather on my daddy's side.
They
He
didn't
died.
talk. He said they didn't talk.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That the family
Yeah.
was like wasn't the same kind of cohesiveness that Mama's family had.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of what Daddy felt about family came from
Came
what he
from that
saw.
because he
Yeah,
had, yeah, that.
what he saw with Mama's family.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they were like that.
Yeah.
You know, I
I
mean, no,
think it's funny that
my
Caitlin
aunts and
wanted
my
that
uncles,
said.
my aunts and my uncles and everybody, we all like, they would always said, like I say, it was like having a bunch of daddies and mommies, and
Yeah.
that, and my cousins, my first cousins were all brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing.
That's how I felt about Curtis.
Yeah,
He was more like a brother than
yeah,
a cousin
but you
to me.
spend enough time
But
with him.
because we spent our
Enough
summers
time,
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
We
played
did.
together. That's what it is. You learn by spending time
Yeah.
with people. And yeah, Curtis is, Curtis
Yeah.
is,
The closest thing to
you
a
have to have
sibling my
brothers.
age
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't give you a brother, so you had to pick one
No.
up somewhere.
No, but Curtis, for
I
all
know,
practical purposes,
I
filled
know,
that role
I
in
know,
my earlier
I
years.
know. We're close enough in age, but y'all spent all the time at the camp
Yeah, we
together,
did.
you know?
But like I remember Curtis. I wonder if he'll see this. But like I remember Curtis, we would go on our little adventures, our little
Yeah.
kid adventures, and he'd bring a stick so he could defend us because he was the biggest and the oldest, and we'd go do our thing. But like he was protecting us, and we knew it.
Yeah.
He was the oldest, and not only was he the oldest, but he he did things. He sold bait at an
Yeah,
early young
yeah.
age. He hunted.
Oh, yeah.
All those
He
kinds of
still hunts.
things.
They still, him
Yeah,
and little Curtis are big into hunting
yeah.
and
And
fishing.
so he took a lot of responsibility on himself at a young age, and so he was our leader and protector
Yeah.
for our little group of
But and
kids.
Amy was part of the mix, right?
Yeah,
She's
Amy
kind
and
of like
Johnny and Johnny.
little Johnny,
Mhm. But they weren't out there as much.
much now. I know. I know. That was one of the things that I guess it's funny, Jeannie, that was his,
Yeah,
that was my world while I was in it.
yeah,
It's Susie's world for
yeah,
sure. I mean, Susie married a shrimper.
yeah,
That was,
yeah, yep,
but Johnny was never part of that
yeah.
world. He was there. He had kind of enjoyed it, but he was never
His thing.
invested in it the
Yeah,
way we were. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But Johnny was different. I love my brother, but he was a different, you know,
yeah,
breed.
yeah.
I mean, Jeannie was, I mean, Jeannie and Shizuka picking crabs. I mean, it was just the most amazing thing I think I'd ever seen.
Oh, I know,
I
right?
mean, how fast she could pick a crab. She was just amazing.
Do you know how they met?
They met.
Or where did they meet? Where
They
was
met
he
in
stationed?
Japan. But
So
I'm
he
not
was.
sure.
I
He
thought
was
he
in
was,
the Air Force. He was in the Air Force.
and he was stationed in
He
Japan.
was stationed in Japan. He met her in Japan, and they got married in Japan.
Okay.
And then he brought his Japanese/Chinese wife home.
She's part Chinese,
She's Chinese. She's not Japanese. She was never
and
Japanese.
Shizuka's Chinese.
She was an orphan in World War II, and a Japanese businessman brought her home to Japan and raised her.
My world just got rocked.
And The
So,
worst
so
part
she
about,
was
the worst part
Chinese,
about
but
that is that you know,
so that explains that because, she made gyoza, she sung us,
well, I think most of what you know of her was the Japanese raising it,
yeah,
yeah,
her
because she was Chinese. But what you have to understand is in World War II, the Chinese and the Japanese were enemies.
right,
So a Chinese child being raised in a Japanese family in
yeah,
Japan
yeah,
had to have to
been
deal with,
difficult.
must have been difficult for her. But yeah, she was Chinese. Yeah.
Hmm.
And she was an orphan in World War II, and a Japanese businessman brought her home and raised her with the
Crazy.
rest of his family.
Hmm.
You know, it's an amazing story. And then when Jeannie brought her
And
home,
what's amazing is I'm 50 and I've never heard it.
you never heard that before.
I had no idea she was Chinese. No.
Chinese. And she was, if you can, if you can, if you can point to one of the greatest things that ever happened to my family,
Yeah.
it was her. And she was wonderful in so many ways. You know,
Hmm.
but she could pick crabs like
I know.
nobody had ever seen. It was amazing. But she also could cook, and she had a heart that was as big as Jeannie's. You know, right, Nana?
Paran taught me to play solitaire.
Did he?
Hmm. He taught me how to play
Yeah.
all the little different games I ever learned. He taught me how to play. Yes, I'm recording. Yeah.
Yeah, we were cool. We talked about TV.
Yeah. You did.
Yeah.
I told he mentioned that Papa Black used to go to the games, and I said I knew
Oh, yeah.
Uncle TV played ball.
And they brought
For
beer.
some reason, it never occurred to me that my grandfather went to the games.
Yeah. And they would drink at the games.
Oh, I have no doubt.
But yeah, it was 1 year. That's all I ever coached. It's a shame. I probably would have enjoyed it, but it was more trouble than it
Yeah.
was worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shizuka was special. And yeah, she was Chinese.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know something? I think Susie disagreed with me about that. I'm wondering if I got it wrong.
I want to. I'd like to do this with her as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, I want to hear that one.
Well, we can go together.
I don't know that I want to be there. I'm leaving out some juicy parts of the family history because of Susie, okay?
Well, so
No,
be it.
no,
Yeah,
nothing
we're
bad.
free to tell our own tales.
No, I know. But no, I'm wondering if I got that story wrong. I don't know. I don't think so. I think Susie's got it wrong.
I
Because
don't know.
Suzuka's not here and nobody's there to basically
I
see.
know.
I'd go with my story.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I don't think she didn't, to me, she didn't look Japanese. She was Chinese to me. Because I don't know what I might be,
I don't know.
how would I know? But yeah, it was, they married in Japan. He came home with a wife, Japanese wife. And he lived happily with her for the
Yeah.
rest of his life.
Yeah. And we had gardens and fresh
Yeah.
vegetables
I
and
just want to tweak your memories.
you can come sit down here.
Yeah, you can join.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nanny.
Just jump in.
Well, come on
But
in
yeah,
because I'm gonna do
talking
this
about
with you as
Shizuka.
well.
And one of my earliest memories, we were at the camp, and they had
Have a seat, Nana. Camera's that way.
a Godzilla movie,
Oh, jeez.
and Philip and I were laughing at Godzilla.
She got mad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she got so mad at
She
us.
got mad. Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember? I don't think I ever saw her.
You didn't like us making
angry.
fun of the Godzilla movies.
I know. You told me that. I've heard that story.
Yeah, she was angry. It was so funny because Susie didn't show anger like that.
No, she
You
didn't.
know, she was always pretty level. I saw her get mad at Jeannie a couple times, but none of us.
I heard a fuss at her, but I never really
Yeah,
seen that.
fuss at her, but
Yeah,
all
she
my
didn't like the
friends-
fact that we were laughing at the Godzilla movie.
no,
funny.
she
She
did
did not
not
like
at
that.
all.
It's funny.
I remember we were just watching the
I
movies
didn't
in the
remember.
room.
Yeah, I didn't
She
remember
comes
until you.
stalking in there with that little feet, literally fussing at us. It just, I forgot about that for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember her teaching me how to make that gyoza stuff.
She taught me how to crochet. She taught me how to count in Japanese, and she used to
Yeah.
sing a little butterfly
she-
songs. Yeah.
My daughter's counting in Japanese,
Right.
teaching them Japanese.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Her snowball stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. So what else?
What else? I don't know.
Yeah.
I once had my football coach after Johnny Bartel after practice. I was at practice, and I made a tackle and it turned my helmet and I got cut in my eye. So he brought me to the hospital to get it stitched. And we're in the doctor stitching it, and the doctor asked him, he said, is he any good? And Brechtel said, I wish I had 22 of them. That was the best compliment anybody's ever paid to me, especially because I was playing football.
Yeah.
Anybody says, yeah, I wish I had 22 of them. That's the ultimate compliment from a coach to a player. We were terrible. I mean, we won one game the senior year. I'd cry after the games. I'd put
No, I mean, I
I'd put
understand,
everything in.
yeah.
I put everything into the game. I'd be, soaking wet and all beat up, and I'd be in the locker room crying because we lost. And that happened we won one game. But I love to play football and baseball. Um, I didn't really play. The best baseball I ever played was after I was married to you, and I played softball for Jerry McDermott. Played on because in New Orleans back in those days, they had leagues,
Yeah, the leagues.
softball leagues,
I've been to your games. I went
softball
to some
leagues.
of your games.
Did you?
Hmm.
Softball leagues where on the North Shore, if you play softball, it's underhand pitch.
Yeah.
In the city of New Orleans at that time, it was overhand pitch. And what you would end up doing is facing knuckleballers every time. Okay, anybody could throw a knuckleball, because the knuckleball is just as hard to hit with a softball as it is with a hardball. And so I played for McDermott a couple of years. First year I played 3 years, I believe. The third year, I got in an accident. I got rear-ended, and by the Kaiser aluminum plant. I got rear-ended and it hurt my back, and I couldn't play until toward the end of the season. And then after that, I didn't. I think I left.
When did you work for McDermott?
I went to work for McDermott after we got married. I worked as a driver for limousines. I did and that would have been probably 72. Probably
How long
1972.
did you work for them?
I worked for McDermott for quite a few years because I started out, they hired drivers, and the drivers basically would take the limousines that the Cadillacs that the executives had, bring them out to gas them up and get them clean. That's what I did. And then they had an opening for a teletype operator, and I could type. So I applied for it. They gave me that, and I stayed there for quite a few years as a
Because I was going to
teletype
say,
operator.
I think I remember you took me somewhere and had me playing on CAD, and I was a kid.
And that was at that would have been Michigan.
No,
It would have had to be Michigan.
maybe it wasn't. I thought it was CAD. I don't
And
remember.
I don't know that I
remember
could've-
going to Mishu. I don't think you could have brought me into Mishu.
I think they had family days.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you could bring them in.
you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, that would have been
Because
Michigan.
I know it was very young.
Because I worked at McDermott as a teletype operator for I don't know how many years, and then basically quit, went to work freelancing as a teletype operator on different companies, and then eventually went to work for a call center. No, it wasn't a call center. I worked at a call center too, but I went to work for a check printing company out in New Orleans East. And basically what you did was that you key in the check information.
Yeah.
When they order a check, you get it.
Yeah.
So I went to work there, and all women. Okay, all women. And they laughed at me, you know. At first, I guess they must have thought I was gay. I don't know. Nobody ever said it to me,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm sure, what is this doing? He's a typist. But at the time, I was kick-ass typist, okay? I mean, I could type. So eventually, we started working within a couple of months I've been there. They had two women, really good, and everybody else was. By the time I left there, those two women, because what they did was they calculated how many mistakes you made.
Yeah.
Well, when I went to work, those women were top of the heap. By the time I left, they were the ones making mistakes trying to keep up with me.
Mm.
Okay. But I left there because it was a position at Mishu that opened up, and I had the option to do either data entry, kind of like what I was doing, or word processing operator. The word processing operator was basically engineers would do a document and you would type it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked word process operator, and glad I did because I'd have been in the pool with women again, and it wouldn't have went over well. But I went to work as a word process operator, and I mean I was a really good typist, but they would have the engineers would have their documents, and then they would have diagrams in the document, and they would normally just draw the diagram. Well, when I saw the diagram, I just basically started creating it on a computer.
Yeah.
And the woman I was working with, she said, "Please don't do that." She said, "Please, they're going to expect me to do it." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do a poor job because
Yeah.
you're not willing to do more."
Yeah.
Which didn't go over well, which
Right.
means that the ladies in the data entry pool who were friends with her, they started really hating her. Okay. And at that point, they had another opening as a computer operator. I took that job as a computer operator, and the system that they brought in was the CAD systems, computer aided
Yeah.
design, and the engineers would start using that. So I was I was hanging tapes on computers. That was my job. So I took a year on a third shift, and while I was there, I'd hang the tapes. You just hang the tapes for a little while, and then you have to sit around. I taught myself how to program on the CAD computer. And then once that happened, I got an opportunity to move into an analyst position because I showed that I could learn to.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, from analyst and stayed analyst until I left Lockheed Martin in 1999, and I went on to do Oracle and then Progress Program. That's where I am now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started out as a typist.
Mm.
You know, and this is not like, well, I planned to do this the whole time. I'd end up being a programmer because that was my goal when I was
Yeah.
18 and 19 years old. I had no goals. I mean, it was like I ended up where I was supposed to be, but it wasn't like I planned it and didn't execute a plan to get there. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I was lucky, you know. I was lucky. Just the problem is, if I had a plan, I'd have been there a lot sooner. And you know, but I mean, if I had a plan, I'd have stayed in school instead of staying one semester and
Yeah.
drink myself out of school. But I didn't have much sense when I was young. I probably still don't have a whole lot of sense.
Did he tell you about the
It-
chop suey?
Job sleep.
Yes, you should tell her about
Yeah.
chop suey.
Well, he should tell them. I know about
I know.
chocolate.
You know about job sleep? Well, Benny Ruiz. When I was growing up, there was a show on every Saturday night called Morgus the Magnificent, and he would play horror movies,
Yeah.
and he had an assistant called a big tall guy with a
Good.
executioner's
Yeah.
suit on called Chopsley. So one day I'm playing around and with the friends, and Benny Ruiz looks at me and calls me a big Chopsley. And that was how I was known from that point on. I mean, the whole time I was in school was Chopsley. Yeah, well, I
Were there
didn't mind.
were there many kids as tall as you in school?
Um, Not many,
Yeah.
a few.
Yeah.
Most of them were shorter. Like Benny Ruiz was shorter. But I don't know. When I was a sophomore in high school, um, St. Bernard Parish decided that they didn't want the boys and the girls in the same school because they didn't want black boys and white girls in the same school. So the integrated school became
Unisex.
a all boys school. And so once that happened, there were a lot of kids that were taller than me in school. Uh, and I got along with them. I mean, I got
Yeah.
along with everybody when I was in school, but I did regret the fact that the girls were gone,
Yeah.
and I think that in the long term that was a negative, although some people would disagree. By the time I was a senior in high school, I didn't know any of the girls.
Yeah.
True. I didn't know anybody. They'd come in for cheerleaders would come in, and that was the most I'd see. It was ever. But and then I got out of school, and all hell broke loose. I gained 20 pounds because I drank like a fish. Well, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I know I drank a lot. I On my 19th birthday, I was in Lafayette at the University of Southwestern Louisiana, before it was ULL.
Oh, funny.
And on my 19th birthday, the guys in the dormitory, and I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Guys in the dormitory bought me a fifth of all turkey. So I said, okay. So we're going somewhere, and I took it and opened and guzzled it. I guzzled the whole fifth.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, couldn't kill myself. I'm lucky I didn't kill myself.
Yes, you are lucky you didn't kill yourself.
Okay, but that's the first time in my life that I can remember hallucinating. I hallucinated because of the alcohol, and fortunately I threw up.
Yeah.
Okay, but later that night, I had a roommate his name was Brian Nolan. He was from Alexandria, and we got along really well. I mean, like, so I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I walk down the hall, because they had a big bathroom.
Yeah.
Walk down the hall, go to the bathroom. I'm standing in front of the cubicle. You hear him yell. And I look, and he's in his bed, and I'm standing over his desk.
Oh, jeez.
Standing over his desk. Like I said, probably shouldn't share it, but it's one of those things. You know, that's the kind of memory you'll ever forget.
No.
And I'm sure Brian.
He probably won't
probably
forget it
won't.
either. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I didn't stay, but I had a whole lot of fun when I was there. I've had a lot of fun.
Well, why don't we call it here,
Okay,
and then we can think about what we want to talk about next
next
time.
time, yeah.